All right, welcome to Issue Roundtable, and we have to welcome someone back into the studio and in Korea as well. Welcome back, Jem.
Hello, everybody. I'm back. Aloha. Just came back from Hawaii.
Wow, it's warm in there, right?
It is warm. It's summer. So,
Yeah.
coming back to winter is so rough. So rough.
Oh, I'm
can
so
I live like this?
envious.
Yes.
And you have your mom with you?
Yes. So I came back to Korea with my mom. She
Okay.
helped me out through quarantine, watching the kids and spend time together. So, yeah, she's visiting Korea right now.
So she's not fond of the cold as well.
Also, yeah. So, but she was very happy to see snow for the first time in a long, long time.
Wow.
So it's magical.
Well, okay. Well, that's something that's really gonna be meaningful for this particular trip of hers.
That's
Now,
right.
we're asking all of our listeners, I was kind of nagging both of them because they were asking me something. I told them, why don't you know? We did not have that. I mean, we have been there.
Noticing stuff?
Yeah, not since December. But then, anyway, I'm going to ask you both as well. What did your parents constantly use to nag you about? Are they still nagging you about the same stuff?
Actually, it was actually that I don't notice things. No, this is a very bad thing. It's also gotten me in trouble in my personal relationships. I can. Oh, you changed your hair? Like I really don't notice things, and people. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I need to address that. I don't know. But my mom keeps complaining. Why didn't you notice this? Why didn't you pay attention to this?
Okay.
Like, I don't know.
눈치 없다.
Why do I have no nunchi? I'm like, I don't know.
You don't have any 눈치 at all.
No nunchi.
Okay, now how about you, Jem?
I was planning to say that it was cleaning my room. My mother used to nag me about keeping my room clean. But she said it was doing my homework. Apparently, I never did my homework when I was a student, and I'm a teacher now. How ironic.
Oh, yeah, that's
How ironic.
Isn't it?
Well, you can't really tell how people is going to change later on in life.
That's right.
Now you're the one nagging every single person to actually do their homework.
It comes around, doesn't it?
Well, at least, at least you know how to listen to this kind of naggings because you have had them since you were young. And maybe in a way you're kind of like Titi, you did not notice your mom nagging about you not doing
Now I
it.
realize, right?
But sometimes, Titi, honestly, that can be not noticing stuff can be a blessing at times.
Right.
Oh, it's been a blessing so far. Maybe that's why I haven't changed it.
Stress-free.
Yeah. Now, this is something that I'm still waiting for my kids to do. And I don't know how to nag them about finding their own place. But when did you guys actually leave the nest? What we call living the nest is, living on your own.
I moved out first when I was 11.
What?
Because I went to boarding school,
okay.
and then from boarding school I went to dorms, so I wasn't really home. But if you want to be like when I was independent, then 23. Like
Okay.
that was when I got my own place for myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 23 was when I left
23.
the nest.
Right.
What about you, Jem?
So I also, maybe when I took some college classes at home, but I first moved to Korea when I was 20 years old.
Okay.
And my mom said, from 20, I never came back. So it seems like 20 years old moving abroad, that was the time I
See,
left the nest.
moms remember every single
Seems to
thing,
be.
right?
Yes.
And I know you have been expats. I think it would be a lot more easier for you, Titi, because as you have said, you were never home, like
Yeah.
home. So I know both of you have been expats here in Korea for quite a long time. Jem, as far, it's been 13 years. Titi, it's been 8 years. Do you feel it's hard to be apart from your family?
So, I really
Because you're
don't feel
never
I've never been home, and Also, my mom is kind of attached to me, so we always see each other at least once a year. That's my mom's
Oh,
rule. We
wow.
must see each other at least once a year.
Okay.
So while I wanted to stay home back in school, I was one of those weird people who wanted to stay back in school during the summer so I could play with friends. And my mom would be
Wow.
like, come home. You're on vacation. I was like, I want to do summer school.
So was it really that hard for you here, being here in Korea?
Not really.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
How about you, Jem?
I'm
Your
the
mom is listening
opposite.
outside.
Yeah,
Careful.
right. I should be. Well, this was the first time to meet in 2.5 years. So during the pandemic, I definitely felt it was so hard. So that's why she decided to come back with me too. Have a
Wow.
little bit more time together. And, we had to go through a kind of longer process at the airport, make sure she can quarantine with me, fill out a lot of forms, but it's all worth it. We finally finished our quarantine and got all of those PCR tests and but it's worth it to spend time together for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I know that's something I had my mom visit me here in Korea for the first time and she was here for an entire month, I think, and she loved it. But I was trying to ask her to live with me here in Korea, but she's not living all of her friends back in the Philippines. She's
Yep.
not doing that. I mean, I can visit you can visit me, but me living here, no.
Would be too hard to
Yeah.
adjust. Right.
So, what are some of the struggles? I think it's this is the same question I would want to throw to my mom.
Right.
What are some of the struggles when it comes to leaving the nest?
Well,
Like I'm looking at TT and I don't have any troubles leaving the nest.
she's just thinking about it.
Would you ever struggle?
I said for me it was laundry. Before living on my own, knowing how to do laundry, separating the different colors or the water temperatures. So my mom made a whole printout for me before I moved abroad. It's one of those simple things you don't think about, but it's true. You need to learn how to cook and do laundry.
There's something about laundry with and Jem. I used to remember we had this question. What made you feel like you're an adult already?
Oh, right.
And she said when she bought her first washing machine. There's something
There's
there.
something about your laundry.
Yeah. So how about okay? I'm afraid to ask you, but I'm asking anyway. How about you, TT? What are your struggles when you left the nest?
For me, this is so weird. Worrying about my parents.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why, but since I was young, I've always had this I feel like the adults and my parents are my kids. Because I learned things from watching them how they show love. So I'm like, oh, if you tell me not to eat this, it's showing love, right? So I tell them oh, don't eat this. Oh, you be warm, wear a coat. And so especially my mom, now that I'm taller and bigger than her, she's just so small and cute. I'm like, oh, I need to wrap you up and hide you.
Oh, wow.
So it's very weird. So especially now during the pandemic, if my mom is like, oh, I have a cold, I start panicking.
Okay.
And then I also realize that in Korea, they don't have a visa for parents if you are not a long-term resident.
If you're not a long-term resident and if you're not a foreign spouse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're not below 18.
Uh-huh.
So when I tried applying for my mom, they kept asking me questions like, are you over 18? I'm like, yes.
Don't I look like I'm over 18?
Then they
That's a
ask,
compliment.
I know, right? And they're like, oh, are you pregnant? Do you have kids? And I'm like, no. They're like, so why do you want her to come during a pandemic?
Why
and I'm
not?
like,
Yeah.
exactly. Why not? She's my mom.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems. The questions when you look at parenting here in Korea, when you say you need your mom, it is because most of the time because you need help yourself. They are not actually thinking about the fact that your parents might actually be needing you. That's why you're inviting them over. That was like the rationale that we actually tried to tell the ministry way back when we tried to fight for parents' visa here in the nation. So this, think of it as the other way, not us needing the parents to help out, but us trying to take care of the parents. I mean, Korea
Right.
wants to take care of their parents, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, of course, we all love our parents. We want to be with them. We want to live with them. can't get rid of them. But some choose living together after becoming an adult, and some don't. I imagine it could also be different from country to country.
Like as you said, but do
Yeah.
Koreans ever leave home?
Yeah, I'm beginning to ask that to my kids. They're 23 and 27. When are you leaving the nest?
Compared to like most like let's say the US, for example, most of them, once they go to college, like at the age of 18, they leave the house. But in Korea, it's very normal to see like a 30-year-old person still at home living with his parents.
Yeah.
And according to a recent report from the statistics office, more than 50% of unmarried adults between the ages of 30 and 40 and 44% of those between 40 and 44 still
Wow.
live with their
Wow.
parents. So even up to the age of 44, they're still living at
Oh
home.
my
And
God.
this is perfectly normal. And there have now been coined the Kangaroo tribe.
Yeah, because
Right.
kangaroos actually
Stay in the
carry their
pouch.
babies all the while.
Right.
Now you got me thinking 50% of unmarried adults between the ages 30 and 40 still live with their parents. I have a 23 and a 27. That means I still have like, what,
Got a long way
30
to go.
years?
Plenty of time.
You
Yes.
still got them.
So if we said 50% because I have two, at least one of them stays with me for that still long
prepared
period
for
of
it.
time.
Yes,
But
yes.
anyway, kangaroo tribe is
Right.
actually a word that's common here in Korea, right?
Right. So kangaroo tribe is actually a local term. And as she explained, that it comes from a kangaroo, the Joey, the baby kangaroo, not leaving the pouch. However, it depends on who you ask, but this term has a negative connotation because the same report also reported that 42% of the children living with their parents are unemployed. So the mainstream media coverage is like, okay, the exhausted older parents are taking care of their unemployed, carefree
Yeah.
children. So it kind of develops this kind of negative image
Yeah.
about people staying
Like
home.
here in Korea, you have a lot of TV shows about, like, let's for example, 나 혼자 산다, something like that. You're someone living alone, but still you see in those episodes how their moms come over to clean up, to basically cook for them and do a lot of
Right.
things for them, right? Is this like the trend all over the world?
Well, it differs in different countries. Like in the U.S., as I said earlier, they're now used to being at home after the age of 20. You're not supposed to be with your parents anymore. But you see, with the pandemic and colleges closing down and unemployment also spiking up, more than half of Americans between the ages of 18 to 29 are now living with their parents again.
Oh,
And
okay.
in countries like Spain, they're offering adults about like $30 a month to help them move out of their parents' homes
$30?
I know, what would that do? But I've not been to Spain, so I don't know.
support, right?
Are you sure it's 30, not 300?
Oh, $300.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, $300. Oh, I said 30. But it's 300 is still not. I don't know. I don't know what the cost of living in Spain, but
Yeah.
I think in Europe in general, $300 doesn't seem like
Yes,
a lot
that
of
wouldn't
money.
be a lot. Now the thing is, we're actually talking about this. There are terms about this. The kangaroo tribe, kangaroo joke, and. But actually, a sociology professor at Kookmin University, Kye Bong-ho, said this is not a new phenomenon and it hasn't changed between 1980s and 2010. So it's been there since the 1980s.
Right. And they say, even though there's the unemployment aspect, there are some positive aspects to this too. Is if children live with their aging parents, they can take care of them more, they can save more money, therefore they could buy their own home later. But on the other hand, you still have the negative aspect. A lot of women's parents say, don't move out until you're married. So
Yeah.
sometimes if you live with your conservative parents, it could also be an issue. This has been going on for that time.
Well, it's kind of like the hyodo, the culture of hyodo here in Korea, filial piety in English. It's a common belief in the Korean culture, that children should and will take care, especially if now I'm still living with my in-laws, and just because of the fact that my husband is the eldest son and he's supposed to take care of them all throughout their lives.
Yeah, it is points like this that remind me, make me think that Nigeria and Korea are pretty similar because Nigeria and Korea, they have the same thing. The eldest son takes care of the older siblings, and the daughter cannot move out until she's married. Which is why
so
I'm an
similar.
anomaly.
You're an anomaly. You left the nest at
Over.
11.
So like,
Okay.
but you see, up until like the mid 80s, as you said, all grown up children in Korea, especially sons, were this was like their responsibility, expected to have, and the
Yeah.
obligation to their parents. And even the law right now also states that all adult Koreans are legally obligated to financially support their spouses, parents,
Okay.
and parents-in-laws.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
You know, however, in 2016, a report by the Korean Women's Development Institute showed that the number of those who felt family members should take care of aging parents dropped from 70.7% to 31.7%.
Oh my God, that's
What a drop.
really, that's a very big drop.
Yeah, and while people who felt the government should care for elderly parents increased from 18.2 to 47.3%.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know even if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, of course, the government should do their part in trying to take care of the elderly in the nation with the number of elderly that we have here in Korea, but not taking care, dropping 50 plus points.
Well, you see, I think it also depends on the country because, like, unlike other OECD countries where the public transfer payments, which refer to like your retirement benefits and other stuff, it accounts for 70% of the elderly average income.
Oh, wow.
However, in Korea, that only accounts for 28.8.
So they needed
So
support.
they need support from their family, or the government should increase the benefits that they give elderly
For
people.
elderly?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Uh-huh.
And but according to a new report, I think I saw this last week. From like they say, forget the 28.8. According to like the Korean Economic Research Institute, those born in 1990 and above may not even see a pension.
Yeah. I have heard of this on
Yeah.
the news because, if they're not going to change the pension system right now, the national pension system right now, those born in the 1990s might not be able to get any pension at all.
Wow.
This is something to look forward, not to look forward to. This is something that
We
we
need to
actually
prepare.
have to prepare
And expect.
about. 70% in OECD countries and 28.8%, just 28.8% of the living costs in Korea is being provided. Wow, that's really something big.
Right.
Wow. And I know there's a lot of things to talk about, having your parents, not having your parents, and, the relationship, especially here in Korea. Very different culture. And we have one question, I think, that we wanted to discuss. 2709 said, she asked about, do I have to wear clothes that my mom likes? And 5581 said, 엄마가 좋아하는 옷을 입을 필요는 없지만 취향이 비슷하면 좋을 텐데 그러기가 쉽지 않을 것 같아요. 좋은 방법은 엄마한테 요즘 쿨한 애들이 다 이렇게 입는다 설득하면 돼요. Yeah, you just have to convince your mom that all of the cool kids wear this.
All of
Come
the cool
on.
kids.
And we cannot have the same type of clothing.
Right,
This
Mom?
is what I was saying. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really the abnormal one because my mom wanted me to be the cool kid. So I'm
Okay.
like, throw away the hoodies. Why don't you wear something? I'm like,
You
no.
are the cool kid.
Yeah,
No, I am.
you're both cool. 25 and I wanted to end our program today with this message. 2520. 엄마 돌아가신 지 엊그제 같은데 벌써 13년 되었습니다. 엄마 잔소리 듣고 싶네요. 부모님 살아계신 친구들 보면 부럽습니다. Yeah. See that? I mean, be thankful your parents are still with you because sometimes when they leave you, you're gonna miss all of those chances.
Right.
Thank you very much, everyone, for sending in all of your messages. We're going to leave you with a song. This is Wax with Omai Ilgi. This has been Jasmine. Join us once again tomorrow at 4 p.m. I love you all. Bye.
Bye.